narcissism and his descent into evil is the scene at the hospital when Vito Corleone is in the hospital and Enzo the baker comes with flowers to visit the Godfather, an innocent man, an act of charity, visiting someone who's sick in the hospital. And Michael Corleone enjoins this innocent man to go out front and stand and pretend to be a bodyguard, putting Enzo's life at grave, grave risk, a completely innocent man. That is the moment when Michael Corleone, who was before, the apple of his father's eye, he was the best of the three sons, he was a war hero veteran, he's a genuinely intelligent and was a potentially very good man. That is the moment when he callously exploits and puts in grave danger the completely innocent man, Enzo the baker. There's examples of these dynamics all over literature, cinema, so on and so forth. You just have to be able to see it and recognize what the dynamic is. This is huge. Diabolical narcissists are almost completely devoid of empathy. They are devoid of empathy. Unable or unwilling to identify with, acknowledge, or accept the feelings, needs, preferences, priorities, and choices of others. They simply do not care. And you have to get this through your head, and it is for some people, it's impossible. It is impossible to get your head around how someone who presents at first as not only a normal person, but perhaps an extremely attractive person, a very charming person, to come to the realization that these people do not care about anyone else. They don't care about you. They don't care about how their actions affect you. They do not view you as even a sentient being. It's said that they view other human beings as three-dimensional cartoons. That's it. There for their amusement, and that's it. We as normal people, we can't comprehend this, but you have to get your head around it. They do not care. The narcissist relationships are self-serving and therefore shallow and superficial. The narcissist has no genuine interest in others and only feigns it when it serves his purposes. They can pile on the charm when they are sexually attracted to someone, when we're talking about some sort of a business or financial arrangement where, they are gunning for financial benefit, closing a deal, getting a big tip, something like that. Oh, they can pile on the charm. It is completely superficial, completely superficial. Diabolical narcissists view other people not as human beings, but as 3D cartoons. Diabolical narcissists are especially attracted to Facebook and other social media platforms that reduce people even further from a three-dimensional cartoon in space. Now what Facebook does, and these other social media platforms, is it reduces their interaction with other people to 2 dimensions. They're even less real at that point. That is catnip to diabolical narcissists, okay? Diabolical narcissists are constantly envious of others, and they seek to hurt or destroy the objects of their frustration. They are wildly insecure and fragile, believe it or not. They can be, extraordinarily aggressive coming at you, but inside, the true self is wildly insecure and fragile. A further list of diabolical narcissist traits from another very good website for reference, halcyon.com, Halcyon. This was assembled by a woman years ago who I believe has now passed away, but people who used her website got together and are maintaining and making sure that the website is still up and the information is still out there. Very interesting reading. Other diabolical narcissist traits: they're conscienceless, They are shameless. They are authoritarian. They are contemptuous and disdainful, hypercritical. Nothing nice to say about anyone or anything. Everything is framed in terms of criticism. It's not psychologically normal. They're cruel, they're callous, they're wanton. They can be, some of them are hyper flirtatious and seductive. I crossed paths with a female pathological narcissist. Ended up, just by some random chance, getting invited to a party where she was, and observed this woman just crawling all over men in a positively serpentine comportment, slithering and sleazing up on men. And it later came out that this person is perhaps a sociopath or psychopath. And looking back at that and remembering that, it was the signs were all there. The telltale signs were all there. Hyper flirtatious, seductive comportment. Psychologically healthy, normal women don't act like that. More traits. Hypersensitive, hypersensitive. In fact, will even concoct offenses where none is given. Fantasizing about being offended even. Incapable of self-deprecation. Beware of someone who never ever jokes about themselves. That's a telltale signal too. Very pessimistic, typically, in terms of the church and in terms of religions. You know, all religions outside of the church are false religions, but in terms of religion with a lowercase r, let's say, looking at liturgical fetishists, people like that, that's all a trait that goes with narcissism. Secretive, this is a derivative of grandiosity. They think that they are so important that, they have to keep everything secret and can't be open about anything because all of their affairs are of such enormous, desperate importance. Stinginess. Most of these diabolical narcissists are absolute tightwads. Again, not psychologically normal. Self-contradictory, hypocritical. We'll get into this ad nauseum later in the presentation. This is huge. They are inveterate, facile liars. They will look you in the eye and with the utmost earnestness lie through their teeth over and over and over again, shamelessly. They don't care. They absolutely don't care that they're lying to you, and the rules do not apply. But oh brother, if you or anyone else ever tells them a lie, they'll come down on you like a ton of bricks, but they will lie to your face with the utmost facility. This is very, very interesting. They tend to hate their own, which even still, I have a difficult time getting my head around this. But you look throughout history and you see it over and over and over again. Diabolical narcissists who hate their own people. Hitler, at the end, was just raging and raging against the German people for letting him down. Sadly, another great example of this right now in the church is Jorge Bergoglio, Pope Francis, who seems to be completely fine and even groveling to everyone except for Orthodox believing Catholics, for whom he has nothing but contempt. He's the perfect example of hating their own. Narcissists are masters of projection and gaslighting. Now, let's talk about what projection is. Projection is accusing others of having the character flaws and or committing the crimes that the diabolical narcissists are themselves committing. Does this sound familiar? Have you watched a political press conference lately? Have you noticed that all these politicians do is accuse other people of doing exactly the things that they're doing? That is projection. This is a key trait and tactic of diabolical narcissists. Gaslighting. I'm just quoting Wikipedia here because this is a very good and succinct description of what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is a form of mental abuse in which information is twisted or spun, selectively omitted to favor the abuser, or false information is presented with the intent of making victims doubt their own memory, perception, and sanity. Instances may range simply from the denial by an abuser that previous abusive incidents ever occurred, all the way up to the staging of bizarre events by the abuser with the intention of disorienting the victim. The genesis of the term is from a play that was then made into a movie, 1944, starring Ingrid Bergman, called Gaslight. The plot of this play is that there is a husband who is trying to drive his wife insane, presumably so that, I can't remember if he wants to institutionalize her and get rid of her, or if maybe he wants her to kill herself. I can't remember. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. But the key plot element in this movie is that he's doing things to change the level of the gaslight in the hall, in their home. And so, she notices that the gaslight is getting brighter and dimmer, depending on certain things that are going on in the house, and she points this out, and her husband keeps telling her, no, 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 you're crazy. There's also an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation in which Captain Picard is abducted by Cardassians and is tortured, and the method of torture is that there are, I can't remember the number, there are 4 lights up on the ceiling, and the torturer keeps wanting Picard to say that there are, I believe, 5 lights. All you have to do, Picard, is say that there are 5 lights. And he's going to be, you're crazy. Of course there's 5 lights. Look, you're insane, you're crazy. And if he doesn't comply with this, he's beaten and so on and so forth. This is also a form of gaslighting, trying to convince somebody that they are crazy. Gaslighting by totalitarian governments. Okay, we are going to be taking several citations from the 45 declared goals of the communist takeover of America, which was read into the congressional record on January 10th, 1963. These are items 38 and 39 from the 45 declared goals of communism. Number 38, transfer some of the powers of arrest from the police to social agencies. Treat all behavioral problems as psychiatric disorders which no one but psychiatrists can understand or treat. That's objective number 38. Objective number 39, dominate the psychiatric profession and use mental health laws as a means of gaining coercive control over those who oppose communist goals. This is going on right now, as we speak, in the United States of America. Legislation